Happy holidays and welcome to my channel. It is the gingerbread house episode. Now usually I do these big mammoths, like I did my parents' house, I did the church. Last year I did Green Gables. This thing was 2 buildings. It was huge and it took forever. This year I went a little bit more simple, and for gingerbread fans and Doctor Who fans, I did 2 smaller gingerbread houses, well, gingerbread buildings. One I did the TARDIS and the other one I did the robotic dog, K-9 from Doctor Who. And I thankfully, a girlfriend of mine gave me a cookbook that was all Doctor Who and it has the templates for both, so thank you, Jen. Before we get into the building of the gingerbread house, I'm gonna go over the dough recipe one more time before we get started, and we'll start this now. As a quick refresher on how we make our dough for our gingerbread house, we are going to need 1 3/4 cups plus 3 tablespoons butter, 2 cups sugar, 2/3 of a cup plus 2 teaspoons corn syrup, 3/4 of a cup molasses, 2/3 cup plus 1 tablespoon milk, 7.5 cups plain flour, 2 teaspoons baking soda, 3 tablespoons cinnamon, 2 tablespoons ground cloves, and 2 tablespoons ginger. I'm going to mix half of my flour. I'm going to put the rest to the side. And we're going to mix this with all our dry ingredients. If you're just using this house as a decoration and you're not planning on eating these cookies, you don't even have to put in all these spices if you don't want to. They are really more than anything at the point of having this as a decoration, just to make everything smell good. Alright, so put that to the side. Okay, now into our mixer, we are going to put our butter. Okay, and now we're going to add our corn syrup. Okay, molasses, 2/3 plus 1 tablespoon. Whole milk. Okay, so I'm going to start creaming all that. Ooh. And now we're going to add in the sugar. And get this all creamed. Okay, there we go. Now that's nice and creamed, we're going to start adding in our dry ingredients a little bit at a time. First all of the dry ingredients. Once we get through that, we'll add in the rest of our flour. And there goes the last of it. So that's done. And I'm going to wrap it up. You can stick this in the fridge for a few hours. I'm going to do it overnight. Perfect. Now that's going to go in the fridge. To make our royal icing, we will need 4 cups of powdered sugar, 3 tablespoons meringue powder, and approximately 1/4 cup of water, give or take, depending on the thickness of your royal icing, as well as food coloring if needed. To begin, we are going to put the powdered sugar and the meringue powder into our mixer. We're going to add water and then we're going to whip it until it's really light and fluffy. It will have kind of a gloss and a stiffness to it when we're done. Once we get it to that point, then we will add in our food coloring. Now, you don't necessarily want to add your food coloring to your mixer. You may want to pull it to the side and then add color separately. I'm only doing it this way because I'm making such a large amount of it. Once we're done and it's ready to be stored, we are going to put it in an airtight container to keep it from drying out until ready for use. Whenever it is not in use, make sure your containers are closed because it dries out quickly. So before we begin baking things off, we need to cut out our templates. These were photocopied out of the Doctor Who cookbook, and we just want to make sure that we have crisp edges on everything before we begin. After rolling out our dough, we're going to put our template on top of it and use it as a guide to cut the shape of the pieces that we need. These pieces were baked 3 times. After the first bake, you want to pull them out, cut the edges nice and crisp again, and then stick them back in the oven. They were in for 15 minutes, they're going to go in for another 10. After the second bake, we will be adding candy to the windows that were cut out before the second bake and adding candy to them. These will go back in the oven for another 5 minutes to melt the candy and make colorful windows. Once the candy has melted and cooled again, then we can start decorating. Before we begin, we have to do piping and flooding to add color to our walls in order to color the entire thing blue. So we start with the piping, where we make outlines around the edge of our shape plus around the windows. Any place we don't want to have icing, we need to make sure there's a border wall. And we're going to do this on every piece and let them dry. Once they have dried, we're going to add water to thin out the royal icing that we already have in order to flood the piped areas. Once it's nice liquidy in consistency, then we're just going to pour it into the sections and then spread it out until it just hits the outline. And we're just going to do this to all our pieces until they're completely covered. For the small spaces, I used a toothpick to fill in the tiny gaps. We're just going to finish it up by piping and flooding the roof. In time, we should be just about ready to assemble our gingerbread houses, and if you like what you've seen up to this point, please hit like, subscribe, leave us a comment. It's really good for the algorithm, just getting my videos more out there so more people see this. So if you could do that for me, that'd be great. Thank you. To start this, we need to secure aluminum foil on circle cardboard so we have something to put these on. So I'm going to do this to 2 of them. And it doesn't matter if it's shiny or dull side up because we're going to cover it in frosting anyway. Bloop. There it is. Okay, now we have our brown icing, which I didn't make quite dark enough yet, so I'm going to darken it up with brown and crimson food coloring. And we're just going to add that in, give it a good hard mix, and that should do it. I'm just trying to make it look about the same color as the gingerbread itself so it just blends in. After all, we're making a robot. So I'm going to fill my icing bag. Give that a quick twist and put that to the side. Next, I'm putting icing on the cardboard. It's a little snow effect to give K-9 some place to sit. Now I'm going to start placing the gingerbread and icing it into place. These all fit so well, they just lean up against each other. Once I have the icing all straightened out, all flattened out, I'm going to put the top of K-9's back on him. I have put 2 holes in it so that he has a place for his head to go through, but I'm not sure how that works yet. I'm just going to smooth out the icing and let that dry. Now I just got to figure out how to keep his head on. We are now at the exciting point in our show where we're going to put the roof on the TARDIS, and we're going to do this just by stacking roof pieces and centering one on top of the other. Afterward, I'm just going to pipe more icing around and smooth it out. We're going to decorate these at Mom's house, so we'll figure it out from there how I'm going to do the top and everything. Now I just have to figure out how to make the police sign for the front of the box. I have made it out of white chocolate, and I have cut that white chocolate. Oops, it broke! So I have to make another one of these little tablets, which I'm going to do by melting some white chocolate. I made it by pouring some white chocolate onto this piece of parchment, breaking it up, and then cutting a rectangle that will fit that spot. I can try it with this piece over here, but the chocolate I did is a little on the thin side, so I might just redo it. I have K-9 all put together. I don't have a recording of it because the camera overheated. I used chocolate Smarties for his rear end and fruit leather for his satellites and his tail and his front antenna, which eventually fell off. Alright, so I'm at Mom's house and I got his head put on. And sorry I didn't record this, but this is what I was doing. So, what I've done is I've got these giant campfire marshmallows, and I have done some surgery where I have cut them into smaller pieces and then reattached them, and they are attached with bamboo skewers into the holes, and now his head's going to kind of just bobble there.
Wiggle, wiggle.
Now turn him toward me, please. Okay. So now, yes, he's got a little light on in there. Oh, can't see it from.
Oh, it is though.
Yeah, it's hard to. There we go. So he's got a little light on in there. It's not great. It's Christmas Eve, and I forgot to get new batteries. So I'm going to set up the camera, and we're going to decorate, and we'll see what we got when we're done. So here's K-9 all finished up. I put a snowflake on his face in place of his broken antenna, and I think he looks mighty fine, and I can't wait to see how he looks in the dark. Alright, we need a doorknob. That's what we need.
So let's do a 360 to show what we've accomplished.
Yeah, like, I hope that was recording. I don't know that it was. So, the only thing that Dad would still like me to redo the chocolate sign, but aside from that, Joey and I have been kind of going crazy. Having a wonderful time doing it too. And that's for Dad. I think this is done. What do you think?
I'm happy with it.
I'm happy with it. Alright, there it is. I just made a pile of snowballs. What do you think?
It's good. Okay.
So, yes, if you turn the light on in the battery box on the side, it lights up as well. Ta-da!
Yeah, it'll look better in the dark. 'Cause,
Definitely.
Like you can't hardly
Bigger
tell.
on the inside.
It is bigger on the inside. Okay, well that does it for the last video for 2022 and the first video for 2023. Unfortunately, there's a little overlap. I wanted to get this out between Christmas and New Year's, but I hope you enjoyed the houses. I had a lot of fun building them as always. I am not exactly sure what we're gonna do with the next year, so please give me some suggestions. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, bye. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw and would like to see more content like this, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I have uploaded again. And from all of us at the channel, take care, be safe, and... You told me to write the man. I wrote the man.